The Republican playbook, and unfortunately we've seen it with Mayor Bloomberg in recent years, is to attack teachers, to take away that morale by undercutting the people we entrust with our children. If we really want to address the achievement gap, we need to start with early childhood education. That is the proven difference maker.
You know, Bill, there you go again. You start talking about it, so I'm some type of national Republican. Don't lump me in with people who I'm constantly in disagreement with. It's not the right thing to do.
Bill, I have to speak to that.
Yep.
If Mr. Lhota is so often in disagreement with Republicans, it's interesting that he went to the Tea Party on Staten Island and appealed to them to support him, told the Tea Party members on Staten Island that their values were very close to his. It's interesting that, like the Tea Party members of the Congress, he wants to delay Obamacare for a year. You know, when you listen carefully, you'll see that Mr. Lhota is a mainstream Republican, believes in more corporate tax cuts and tax cuts for the wealthy, instead of what I'm talking about, which is a tax on the wealthy so we can fix our schools. So I think Mr. Lhota should be straight up with us about the fact that he does subscribe to the views of the National Republican Party.
I went and I talked to the Tea Party. When I went, there were things that I disagreed with them on and things that I agreed with them on. Do not lump me with the National Republicans. It's unbecoming, Bill.
Bill, wait a minute. At the Tea Party gathering in Staten Island, Mr. Lhota told them there's many areas we agree philosophically. Those are his words. And by the way, he sought the support of the Conservative Party, which is explicitly against a woman's right to choose. So you can't have it both ways. It's true that Mr. Lhota was in the private sector. In fact, a recent report came out that showed he was part of a lobbying effort to get tax breaks for Madison Square Garden. And we know that his economic plan, according to the New York Times, would blow a $2 billion hole in the city budget because it's a classic Republican tax giveaway to corporations and wealthy individuals. So it's clear that his private sector experience deeply affected his view. His Republican ideology reflects his view. And the fact is, the greatest experience he had in government was serving Rudy Giuliani when, unfortunately, Rudy Giuliani was dividing this city.
It went on like that for an hour. I was waiting for somebody to call a cop because that was a political mugging. Richard, did somebody tell Joe, who I understand is a nice guy, that he was trailing by 40-something points? The guy was on his heels the whole night.
Look, that was just not a good performance. You know, it's very unfortunate. Look, every time Bill de Blasio brought up the Tea Party, Lhota shouldn't go back and didn't talk about the Tea Party, because all it do gives Bill de Blasio another opportunity to mention it again.
It distance himself from Republicans.
It's just very 101, pivot to something else, and that's what should have happened.
Lhota had this look on his face like, I'm down by 45 points and I've got Congress and the Republican Party in Congress at 8%. It's
No, you're absolutely right. And what Bill did was basically continue what he did throughout this entire campaign. I mean, his real brand about what he envisions the future of the city of New York to look like. He stuck to that. He wasn't going to rest and allow, hey, I'm up and coast.
Were you surprised that he didn't ease off the gas, considering he's up 45 points? You would understand if he stayed away and didn't engage.
Again, you say ease off the gas. I say he was just being Bill de Blasio and how he plans on being the mayor of the city of New York.
I agree. Scott Stringer and the debate against John Burnett used the same talking points about, you know, you're lumping everybody in with the Republican Party, and it's about wealthy people. And it's really what's going on in New York City is this Bill de Blasio's riding that wave of it's about the people, the average everyday New Yorker.
To my way, I can't remember a candidate this late in the game. It has been a little bit of vetting. But the Bill de Blasio bio and resume is light, you know, especially coming off the Bloomberg years. And he's going to win.
They said the same thing about a senator from Illinois. They said the same thing about a senator from Illinois.
And I agree.
You walked into that one.
Yes, you did.
You're going to compare the charisma of Barack Obama and Bill de Blasio.
You see what happened then.
Pretty well.
And you know, you see what happened under President Obama.
Maybe Mr. de Blasio certainly had a opponent that was, I don't know, not doing himself any favors last night. But if you thought Joe Lhota would go quietly into the night here, think again. This is a spot just out, and I don't think you have to guess after you see it where Mr. Lhota's going.
Bill de Blasio voted to take over 5,000 cops off our streets. And de Blasio's response to violent biker gangs? Visit motorcycle clubs and talk to bikers? Bill de Blasio's recklessly dangerous agenda on crime will take us back to this. Don't let Bill de Blasio take New York backwards.
Okay, he did go there. And you know what he's saying. If you remember, I don't know, the movie, The Warriors, Fort Apache, the South Bronx, he might as well take clips out of those and put it in there. He's saying, like me, don't like me. You vote for this guy, we're going back to the bad 70s.
Listen, that's what he has to do. That's what he needs to do. It's negative campaigning 101, I guess. You know, I mean, the fact of the matter, I mean, putting up that Bill de Blasio allowed 5,000 police officers to just go. I mean, this was Bloomberg's budgets. And Bloomberg, over the years, has sort of withered out the police department, got it to a level now where he believes it's lean and mean and okay. And so to say and to throw that around Bill de Blasio's neck and say it's he was responsible for the 5,000 cops not being on the streets is a lie and is a
Cheap
fib.
shot or not, it's a pretty powerful ad.
Well, yes, but unfortunately, it's not going to work. Here's why. People in New York City, this is a far removed. I grew up in the Bronx in the 80s, okay? We're talking over 20 years that things have been improved. People in New York City are complacent. You could put a donkey in there as mayor, and people won't think crime is going to go up or anything because they've experienced it for so long. They've experienced the low crime rates. They've experienced the good times for so long. It's only after, if de Blasio wins and he messes up things, then people are going to say, wait, you know what, we need somebody to come back because he's obviously messing things up.
You know, you can question the legitimacy of the attack on de Blasio, that somehow his policies will be a return to more dangerous times. I think that's an inaccurate attack, and I think that's a fairly ineffective attack.
Okay. Wait till you get mugged next year.
But that ad, I thought, was Willie Horton-esque, and I thought it was over the top. That last shot of the woman in the subway car.
White lady gripping that pole,
Exactly. There is a not so subtle undertone to that ad that, frankly, you would kind of think that
the only thing that surprised me a little bit is if he was going to go there,
that.
and he obviously knew he was going to let that ad go,
that
you know, the day after.
For a while.
Where was that guy at the debate? Why wasn't, if he was going to play the scare card, okay, and I think it went over the top too, but if he was going to go there, literally using the motorcycle gang, okay, anyway, that if he was going to go there, why didn't Richard double down at the debate?
Well,
I mean, instead he's trying to say, I'm really not a Tea Party guy. I'm really not a Republican. I'm really not one of those national guys. He spent a half an hour trying to say who he wasn't. You know, yet the next day he comes out with
but again,
watch your women and children.
To your point, when you're down by 40 points, you got to throw a lot of stuff.
You
got to throw a lot of stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Listen, he got knocked out early at the debate, and often he did not have any opportunity to ever be the aggressor. And we'll say, I'm sure he will in future debates. Now that they've got this on tape.
And not to mention the height difference. They've got to raise Lhota up a little more because he dominates. Bill de Blasio dominates him.
I don't think Lhota expected de Blasio to engage as much as he did. I thought he was trying to come off as more of the statesman,
All due respect,
not on the
shame
attack.
on him if that's
It's
the
just
case.
not the election for
That's
that. It's not the right
political
year.
malpractice. You know you're down. You got to be ready to do whatever you want. And the 101 that you said, Richard, is true. I've done enough of these debates. They don't have to answer the question if they don't want to. They don't have to respond to what the guy said. You pivot, you go where you want to go, and you make your point 20 times before the hour's over.
I must say, but I believe Lhota is the best candidate for mayor, though, absolutely, given his private.
You're one
and
of the
public
10% apparently. All right. Coming up next, it was a double feature for debate lovers last night in the Garden State. Christie versus Buono for the final time before Election Day. And trust me, Mr. Christie was not as quiet as Mr. Lhota. Stay with us.